career spanning more than 20 years, she has been on the forefront of the ever-changing World Wide Web. She has Macedonian blood, but lives and works in the United States. She won an actual Emmy Award. She is Blagica Bottigliero. Blagica Bottigliero.
Thank you. Kako, say hi. Wow. My name is Blagica Bottigliero, and I live in Chicago, just next door. Majka mi tatka mi se odove u tato. Ja zborim tatko si dialect. Razbiram sve. Miešam as well with English, so talk to me in Serbian and Macedonian. And these shoes are made in Macedonia. My girlfriend Evica Simjanovski in Chicago designed these shoes, and she made them here. So, evisimjan.com, check it out, buy her shoes. Skopje, they're expensive, but they're amazing. So the headset wasn't working for me very well, so I'm gonna use this, which is difficult, teško, because I use my hands when I talk. I am Balkan, so here you go. So what are we talking about today? I'm going to split it up in two pieces. So I'm going to give you my high level of what I think digital is and what's important right now for you to know. The speakers you have today are amazing. They'll go through more details amongst the web, applications, technology, and mobile. I'm going to highlight what I've seen in the last 20 plus years. You see my background, you read it online, you know who I am. If you have any questions, you can send me an email or tweet me, and we can talk about other questions you have later. Speaking of questions, the end of this presentation is Q&A. So I would like you to ask me questions that you have about your business, marketing, technology that you'd like answered. And if I can't answer them, we have amazing speakers who will keep those questions in mind for later. All right? Dobro, ajde. Okay, today's topics. First, we'll talk about your website. Even as basic as your website, we're not going to go into code or designing your website or elements of your website. But in the business I have today, which is actually called Zlato, my consultancy is called Zlato. Everyone knows what that means, of course, yeah. So a lot of my clients today still aren't doing basic website things, whether it's tracking, whether it's analytics, A/B testing. They're not doing any of that, so I realized that's still missing in today's marketplace. So I'm giving you a reminder of what those are. We're also going to talk a bit about artificial intelligence and bots. I don't think AI and bots are everything. I think it's still too early, and I think that companies are forgetting the human element of technology is still needed. We're going to talk about content a little bit. We're going to talk about Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, and then we'll talk about the fact that it's a global audience, but you could be in a small town and still make an impact, and then Q&A. Okay, websites, things that many of you are forgetting when you build your websites. So who here has built their own website themselves? You've coded it yourself, programming. How many of you are working with somebody now and making a website? Okay, good, this is perfect timing. So, sorry that font is too small, I should have made it bigger. But one thing that I'm seeing missing today is people are not tracking all of their URLs. So when people are pointing traffic back to their website, they're not keeping track of what content is working and what isn't working. And that makes absolutely no sense to me. So you have to ask yourself, when you put up a website and you're putting content around the web for the website, are you tracking it properly? Most people are not. You have no idea what's working for your website. You have no idea what's working from a search perspective at all. And it's just building a website for no reason. It's a mistake. The second one, A/B testing landing pages. Who here does A/B testing? Do we know what A/B testing is not? If you don't know what A/B testing is, it basically means you bring people to different areas of your website, different landing pages, different creative, different pictures to see what works. You might do a Google AdWord buy and drive people to one section of your site or another section of the site. There's so many free tools that we'll get into now about ways in which you can drive traffic to your website to see what's working so you're not wasting money. The reason why I was so excited to come home to Macedonia is because as small as this country is, not just Macedonia, but the region around it, if you have a computer and you have an internet connection, even if it's a small, very slow internet connection, the impact you can make for your business, for people to see it around the world, is massive. And that's what's so exciting about the web. But you can't just put up a website and not put in the time to see if people are getting to your site. The next question I ask is email. How many of you are collecting emails on the homepage or someplace of your website? Good. If you're not collecting email, please go home, malimte, and put an email button on your site to collect the information. When I talk to a new business, they say to me, Facebook. I'll just make a Facebook page for my business. And I tell them, Facebook then owns your consumers. If you're not creating your own website for your company and just relying on Facebook to drive traffic, you know nothing about your clients. You know nothing about your consumers. You don't have their email addresses. You don't know how they're shopping on your site. You can't just give all of your property and your intelligence and IP to Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram without having a home for your company. That has to happen immediately, and the two work hand in hand. What I say is Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Vine, Musical.ly, WhatsApp, all of those tools are phenomenal, but they should be broadcasting what you're doing and bringing people back to your website to collect information, leads, a sale, what have you. The next question I have is content, but also keeping track on a scheduled basis how your content is working. I have a very large spreadsheet for all of my clients, and every time a piece of client gets posted for my client, within one day, I know how many people collect, how long they spent on the site, what pages they went to the site. If it wasn't working, that piece of content goes away in a few days. And when I was working at Orbitz, this is where I learned that type of rigor. Every single day when I came into work at Orbitz, I was on the first e-marketing team. By 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, we needed to report to the CEO exactly every single click and content that came to Orbitz.com and what happened. How many air tickets we sold, how many people were supposed to buy a hotel in the shopping cart but didn't. And that type of exercise way back in 2001 taught me the importance of cause and effect. People say to me, you can't track social media and digital. Bull. Everything that's clickable on the web is trackable with analytics and ROI, and I'm sure we'll hear more from social bakers about that, which is very exciting for me. So when people say to you, we don't know the numbers, they're lying. If you're telling your clients you don't know the numbers, you're lying. And then the last one is, how are you creating content to get people back to your site when they're offline? You can make the best type of content, we'll talk more about this in a little bit, but if you have a great video and it goes viral, isn't your favorite word viral? How do we make it go viral? And like there's a special sauce to viral. Put a little bit of this, a little bit of beep it, a little bit of this, mix it up, poof, it goes viral. But most people don't realize, especially with Facebook, you have to pay money for posts to go further in Facebook. How many here have purchased advertising on Facebook? I love you people. Good, good. And we'll talk more about the targeting that's coming up. But so many people still come to me, I'm not going to spend money on Facebook. They're my customers. Really? It's still 2016, you're crying about the algorithm? Everybody knows that Facebook newsfeed and algorithm can change in a second. Mark Zuckerberg and his buddies can change that sucker like this. I've been at Facebook's headquarters in Menlo Park, and if you saw Facebook's headquarters and the amount of engineers they have, just to tweak a little something within Facebook, it's amazing the powerhouse they have. You are not in control. We are not in control. You know what control you do have? Your website. You own it, it's your domain, you're driving traffic to the website. No one else has control of that. And definitely hold your questions so we can follow up with more of that at the end. I wanted to introduce you, many of you already know Google and MailChimp. I know that you're intelligent people, you know they exist. I'm just here to remind you to use these tools. It's kind of like your baba telling you to wear a fanala because it's really cold outside, because pramaya kills. Is that still a thing? My baba still says, pramaya, pramaya, don't pramaya. Yes, in Detroit we still talk about pramaya. So Google. Google has free tools for you to use that people aren't utilizing. That campaign URL builder, that's what I was talking about earlier. How many use the campaign URL builder? Okay, this is good because it's an opportunity for more of you to use the URL builder. What this basically means is you put in your web address, www, AllWebMK, whatever the web address is, and ideally, whatever I call it the suffix, the rest of the product categories, Google will let you put that in its URL generator, and you can put Facebook, newsletter, Snapchat, Instagram. So when you pull a report the next day for your own company or your clients, you know right away what piece of content worked. Do you know how long this takes to do for one URL? I timed it. 10 seconds. URL, boom, 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 copy link, done. Akosakash, you can take it and do the Google short link and not have the long link. Why do I say that? I'm very particular with what consumers see. When a consumer goes to a website and they see that long URL string, they might think, oh, someone's tracking me. Well, of course we're tracking you. Of course. If you put that shortened bit.ly or have the URL code shorter, the Google shorten code, it looks better to the end user. So I suggest shortening your links if possible. MailChimp or Constant Contact, it doesn't have to be MailChimp, but who uses an email tool like MailChimp or Constant Contact? Good, that's good, okay, great. MailChimp has so many free packages. I only use the free version of MailChimp for my clients right now. My husband, his name is Michael, he has a wine business. He does wine consulting in Chicago. He's a sommelier. And so I run all of the marketing for his business. He actually does Macedonian wine tastings in Chicago. You would not believe right now, people are going nuts for Balkan wine in the States. No joke. People are going crazy for it because it's so good. And I sit there and laugh. I'm like, well, of course, it's from back home. So with MailChimp, you're able to do different types of templates. You can have different email lists for certain types of people you're trying to target. You can even set up automated emails in MailChimp for people to come back to your site. My favorite tactic that I use for my clients is to download a PDF. Have you ever used MailChimp that says, hey, if you want this report or this white paper, give us your email address and we'll give it to you? That if you don't do that, it's an amazing tactic. People love data. People around the world love data, reports, surveys, whatever it is. If you or your organization has the ability to do a survey for anything, top 10 places to visit, top 10 types of foods, top tactics for XYZ, and you make it in a nice little PDF, and people want that content, have them go to your site, hey, get a free guide on X, but give us your email address first. I did a test for my husband, and I had him put together a top list of 15 wines for under $15 by category: rosé, white, red, and dessert wine. And I did a paid Facebook post, and I said, okay, who wants this great guide, wines 15 and under? We had 200 people subscribe to the newsletter in one day. 200 for a newsletter for a guide for wines 15 and under. Very powerful stuff. Next up, Autopilot. I want to talk a bit about Autopilot. Now, I love technology. Most of my life is programmed. Even my kids, to a degree, with their calendars. My husband and I use Google Calendar for everything. Everything, to a degree, is programmed. However, I have firsthand seen the risks of technology and the lack of human intervention with content and context. And I am just being very, very careful with how much I do to automate things. Now, I know that Facebook has a lot of bots now, which is phenomenal. Artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to customer support, they have bots within the ability, to chat with brands. Anybody work with a bot right now or program a bot? They're phenomenal, they're great. But a lot can be missed in translation when it comes to that back and forth with your consumer. Basic questions like, what time do you open? Is this product available? If the product question comes up, the bot can most likely go into your database or your API and see if a product is available and tell the consumer that's fine. But for us to rely so much on automation when it comes to the digital web, the company I was at before I launched Zlato was Mod Squad. And we did online moderation, customer support, and social media. So my team dealt with trolls all around the world. I've seen spam, trolls, hateful commentary for brands across the world in those most scary situations. I've seen children on message boards and forums who are close to committing suicide and fearful for themselves because they're getting bullied so much by kids at school and on these forums. It's different to go to school and talk to your friends in school, but today, the way that automation is there, it's not filtering in that human connection. So whatever you do for a living, have that automation, but your teams need to staff people to watch your Facebook pages. You can build in automated systems to moderate slurring, bad words, and swearing, bad words, and other items that come within your social places, but that does not beat someone reviewing and reading the content on a daily basis. Do you here have any content that you moderate? Facebook, Instagram? You have to, on a daily basis, check that. You need to have guidelines in place because bots and AI and predictive analytics can only do so much. Anybody here like to, well, this is, before we get to that piece, I was interviewed in Business Week some time ago, last summer. We're not going to talk about politics, but I'm sure you all have seen situations of what's been happening in the States with some police situations and people using Facebook Live to videotape shootings and what was happening in the police. So I talked to Business Week about people posting, using Facebook Live and posting what was happening with aftermaths of shootings. In this case, there was a shooting, I believe, in Minnesota. And my suggestion was you can have automated bots looking at that content, but how do you prevent somebody using Facebook Live to post something as horrible and serious as a shooting? That's why you need people to intervene. And Facebook's trying to figure this out. Facebook is freaking out right now. Facebook built these tools for us to use, and which is lovely, but now they're realizing that people are smarter than they maybe had expected, and they're rebuilding the tools in such a way to make it safer for everybody to use. I also feel that the art of community management and engagement is lost. So when I was at a PR agency called Edelman, it was very customary for the account executives to, on a daily basis, moderate content, talk to the consumer, answer questions. That was their job. I'm finding today, especially in the agency space, maybe not in Europe, but in the US, the art of community management seems to be lost. Everybody wants to be strategic and make a video and make a viral campaign and do a big Facebook buy, or they want to work with Instagram and influencers, but no one's really taking the time to read what consumers are saying and asking. Think about your day. Think about when you're watching TV or you're at lunch, and let's say you want to buy something. And let's say you might tweet to a brand, or you see something on Instagram and you comment, where can I get that? Have you done that before? Imagine if you're waiting 2 or 3 days for the brand to get back to you. I'm at home oftentimes watching TV. I have my tablet, I have my laptop, I also have my kids' toys all over the place. That's another story, and a glass of wine. And so when I'm watching TV in a commercial, and say, if I think about, oh, you know, mi treba something, you know, Nicola needs something, I'll go online to buy it for him, and if I have questions about it from a brand, I don't think twice to say, oh, I'll just tweet Gap, or I'll just Facebook this brand for them, and I assume they'll email me back. We should all assume that. How are we, in a world of technology and things going so fast, how are we first told by big brands, oh yeah, email us, tweet us, Instagram us, Facebook us, but then no one writes back and no one responds? To me, that's completely unacceptable. You let 2 or 3 days go by when someone's taking the time in their busy day, they're going through their Facebook feed, and they see something you post and they write back, but you don't even take the time to respond? To me, it's a sad state of affairs. As much as I love digital and technology, we're not talking to each other as much anymore online. And that is why we have many of the problems we have today. This is a 2-year-old post. Anybody here like to watch Star Trek? Trekkie fans? I've never gotten a Star Trek, but I can understand it. I also never watched Star Wars. Slushai, yes. Until last fall. So, because I never watched Star Wars when I was a kid, and then when you grow up, you see enough of the clips to understand what happened in all the movies. So I thought, I don't need to see the movies. I ate this, I'm your father, blah, blah, blah. I never had to see them. So Michael sat me down and made me watch everything, but in the special order. You know, the new order that they have? It's okay. I also never watched The Godfather. And so my husband's Italian, and so we watched The Godfather all weekend. I was obsessed, and so now I want to go to Sicily and visit the village. This happened in 2014. So on the Facebook page, you maybe can't see it that well, but the people who were moderating the Star Trek page asked a question. Describe Sulu in 1 word from their fans. And the fans decided after that to do racial slurs and horrible comments about the guy who played Sulu. Everything about Asians, every negative thing you can imagine was on this Facebook wall for days. No one commented, no one deleted, nobody removed, no one said this isn't going to be tolerated at all. Again, this is 2 years old, but I can find more of these examples every single day. This is what I'm talking about. For those of you who have Facebook pages, do you have in your About Us section community guidelines? If you don't, you should. You should, in every social platform you have for yourself or your clients, you should post like the rules of the road. Hi, welcome to our Facebook community. We would love to talk with you. Thank you for being a part of our community. Here are some rules that we expect you to follow. We will not tolerate language like da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Please keep conversations to da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Just a high level, because if you have to remove somebody from the community or delete their comment, and they come back and say, who are you to remove me or my comment? You can say, did you read the guidelines? Sorry. It's a way to protect yourself and protect your brands. Okay, a quick overview of the big 3 social platforms. You know what they are, and I'm not going to go through these. I'm going to just suggest why you should use them and how your people aren't using them. Okay, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. So who doesn't use these tools? Okay, we'll teach you later. So Facebook is still one of the most effective ways you can advertise. The way that it enables you to split your audiences. Anybody here use custom audiences in Facebook? Fabulous. Custom, if you don't know what a custom audience is, it's this. Remember Blagica talked about why your website's so important? So let's say you have a website and you collect all these email addresses, let's say 1,000. You can take those email addresses and put them in Facebook advertising tool and create a custom audience. So when you make ads in Facebook, the people whose email addresses match that within Facebook usage see your ad. That's really, really powerful. You can have the most amazing Facebook machine targeting people who talk about certain interests. I was doing a Facebook ad buy for Michael's business, and I said, okay, I want to target people who are planning events. I was able to pick specific people planning events in Chicago in a certain square mile radius, and his ad went off the charts. So Facebook. Instagram. I think Instagram is one of the most undervalued platforms today to find influencers. It's still cheap, I think. Instagram lets you find people of influence who are talking about a certain topic. You can reach out to them, see if they would want to do some sponsored content, and of course you have to do what I call detective work to understand who these people are, but that's a huge opportunity. Instead of some of the online ads that I see or some of the offline advertising I see with TV, I suggest people spend more time on Instagram and hashtags. I have an example to show you coming up. And also Snapchat. Snapchat does enable that intimate back and forth relationship with people. I don't see enough brands using it. The ones who are, especially the fashion brands and the beauty brands, they're making strides with connecting intimately to their user base. And you can also experiment with coupons, deals, and discounts in Snapchat temporarily to see what works. Here's an example of a hashtag game. I call it the Turkish coffee hashtag game. So I drink a lot of Turkish coffee even when I'm not here. So I did a hashtag search for Turkish coffee. And I found this woman in Turkey. So I looked up the Turkish hashtag, and I looked to see the top results on Instagram. And I clicked on the actual post. It had 9,034 likes. Oh, okay, let me explore more. So I clicked on the username, and turns out this woman who lives in Turkey has 379,000 followers. She's a health and fitness guru. She happens to do a sponsored post with Turkish coffee. But here's an example of someone that I would investigate if I wanted to do a Turkish coffee type of promotion because of her presence. Has anyone used this tactic for anything? It's a very powerful tactic. I reached out to a couple of people to do sponsored posts for my clients, and they were so happy to get an email back, $25, $50, $10. They're happy to do a sponsored post, which can reach hundreds of thousands of people within their community. And lastly, I could not come here without talking about Veles. Because I first think it's a good thing. That demonstrated to me that the smallest towns in the world can have such large impact globally, especially with what just happened in the US elections. Also, all of my friends back home know I'm from Macedonia, everybody. So when any news, good and bad, about Macedonia hits, I get tagged on Facebook with everything. Blagica, 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 everything, all the time. And it's like, what's your opinion? So now I'm this like mini ambassador for Macedonia in Chicago, which I don't mind. But sometimes my political views don't agree with my friends back in the US because I read press from everywhere. So this is what happened when Veles hit. So the BuzzFeed article was sent to me. Oh my God, look at what your homeland is doing. It's skewing the election, blah, 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 blah. And I saw all these articles posted before thinking, oh, you know, Bottigliero, this is bad, whatever, don't click on it. I didn't click on any of it. Then these two articles came from, you know, kids in Macedonia, blah, blah, blah. And then now Google and Facebook says, we're gonna crack down on fake news sites. Really? Now you're going to. And I want to, if anyone here knows any of those people in Veles who did this, I just want to say, good job. Because what you did is you used innovation and technology in a way that was into your advantage, and it's not your fault that people aren't vetting and reading news stories in a way to believe them. Svaka čast is what I have to say about that. But also, they now, because of that, I don't think it's the only reason, because other fake news sites existed, not just out of Veles, but that helped finally prompt Google and Facebook to say, okay, dosta, enough. Well, it's about time. As an American who didn't like the outcome of the elections, it makes me upset that now you're gonna crack down on it, now? So that's my 2 cents about when it comes to digital and technology. We were talking about this earlier. When my friends also saw this article, I had said to my friends, you know what? If you want to watch Netflix all weekend, if you want to go shopping all weekend, you do whatever you want to do. If you really want to use technology and learn something, you have an internet connection, you can do it. If these people in a small town can do it back home, then you can do that as well. That's why I think that's a good example of that type of innovation.